Tower defense games are a path seldom trod in the board game industry, and for good reason. Its very being screams arduous setup, debilitating upkeep, and many small pieces. However, when it's done correctly, it's a bangin' good time. Kingdom Rush from Lucky Duck Games does it right, and I want to tell you why. Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Battlecast. In today's video, I'm going to be reviewing Kingdom Rush Rift in Time. Now, this behemoth of a game comes from Lucky Duck Games, and I actually had the pleasure of doing a Kickstarter preview of this very game. Now, it has stayed very true to its roots, but it actually has made several improvements, and I think it's even easier to play, and the components are better, etc. I'll kind of get into it. Now, thanks to Lucky Ducks for sending me this copy. As always, I review games based on gameplay, components, and fun factor. Let's go ahead and jump into gameplay. But if you know how the gameplay is, you can jump to the components and final thoughts where I'll get into kind of my opinion of the game. Let's get into it. So the first thing I like about Kingdom Rush is that I don't really need to tell you too much about it. I mean, if you know what a tower defense game is, if you've played it on your phone or if you've played it on the computer, I mean, that's basically what it is. It's that true to the genre of tower defense. So firstly, Kingdom Rush is fully cooperative, and it plays amazingly, can't stress this enough, solo. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about the solo aspect in the final thoughts, so stick around if you're curious about that. The general idea is that you have a scenario book which will lead you down a campaign of sorts of progressing difficulty and intricacy as the map shapes change, they get more complex, the enemies come in more varied abilities and challenges, and of course you get more skills in your arsenal. A typical map looks something like this. Enemy hordes will spawn at the start of the track, or tracks, and make their way towards the exit or exits. Now it's up to you and your team to build towers upon the denoted spaces. Use your hero's attacks and abilities to cover the squares on each horde tile. Now, often the shapes produced by towers cannot be manipulated, but when they're upgraded, they either change their shape or become more manipulatable, thereby making their attacks more effective against the enemy hordes. This game is very much like a conveyor belt Tetris. When all spots on the enemy horde are covered, the horde is destroyed and you reap the rewards. Now, instead of playing a tower, you can actually pass the tower to your teammate, and by doing so, you upgrade it to the next level. Now, as I mentioned, when towers get upgraded, their shapes often get bigger, and they become more manipulatable for your shape matching pleasure. Enemies obviously make you jump through hoops with such abilities as can't be stood on, or can't be hit by magic attacks, or they heal the damage that you've done to them, or move 2 spaces instead of 1. There's actually many more. Now, the last thing about the enemies, and this is the kicker, is the portal cards. These potent purple portal cards are particularly painful and must be prepared for with care. Now, they can actually only be damaged by towers, and more specifically, of a certain level or higher. As you can see on this card here, only level 2 or higher towers can damage this particular portal card. What's worse is that when a tower makes an attack against a portal card, it's destroyed. Pair this with your finite resources, and it can be a particularly deadly combo. Did I mention there's massive bosses? Because there's those too. You win if you kill all the trays, or in some scenarios by other means. You lose if a portal tray crosses the exit, or if enough uncovered enemy spaces cross the exit and your health total is reduced to 0. There are 4 difficulties ranging from easy, which gives you bonus health, bonus gems, a free spell to use, all the way to outrageously hard, which gives you nothing but some sand in the eyes and some extra enemy abilities to deal with.
This is even more painful than it looks.
Now moving on to components. Wow, you get a shed load of content in this game. Thank goodness Lucky Duck has provided you with a big, handsome box to store it all in. While there are more small tiles in this game than you can shake a stick at, the box is actually big enough to accommodate, an aftermarket organizer like a Plano or something, and you'll need one. You'll need one. You can actually take that organizer, put it in the box, and it still closes nicely. They do provide a nice organizer of sorts for the cards and the miniatures, but the map tiles are just kind of unceremoniously dumped on top, and that's how I would have stored them anyway, honestly. The components in general for this game are really good. I always love seeing how games improve after the Kickstarter, and this game is no exception. It's improved in many respects. Firstly, the color choice is great in this game. It's extremely true to the video game, and it serves the role of easy identification in later stages of the game because, horde trays can have these really complex makeups of abilities and enemies, but because the colors are so well chosen, it's easy to decipher. The art's nice in this game, but honestly, the scale of everything is very small, which is true to the app. I mean, that's how you have these little heroes running around, so it's not super the focal point of the game, or at least it wasn't for me. Now, the components themselves are really nice. Every card and map tile has like a vinyl finish. It's nice and kind of grippy. I love the horde tray system. I mean, easy to pop out. The biggest thing with this type of game, and I'm thinking of, Cloud Spire, the other tower defense game, is maintenance, the maintenance step. And here it's actually relatively simple, given the genre of the game. It's more complex than other games, but it's not bad. The miniatures are quite nice. I mean, Lucky Duck hasn't been known for its miniatures, but these little guys do just fine. I wonder how they're paint. I personally don't know, but let me know if you know in the comment section below. Lastly, the rule book is quite clear, and it provides enough examples to know what you're doing. I didn't really have a hard time getting to grips with this game. Now let's move on to fun factor. Kingdom Rush is a super fun and unique game, and I'm going to stress the word unique. I do not think that this game is for everyone. It, at times, is an absolute brain burner. When new horde trays flip up and you have to take stock of the situation, it can be a lot to process. There are optimal plays in this game. You just have to see them. And this optimal play thing means that there's a lot of thinking to consider. I play with gamers of all skill levels, and I know that deep thought around our order of operations is not for everyone. Its cartoony and colorful appearance, I think, masks the depth and complexity of this game. And I want to clarify a little because the rules are very simple. And I think if you play on the easiest difficulty and expect a kind of 1-star every challenge, you're probably going to be able to do it with, a ragtag group of people who don't communicate very well. I think. But if you want a 3-star or, like, heaven forbid, heroic mode some stuff, I mean, you're going to have to be dialed in. And on the note of difficulty, I want to talk about replayability. There's a decent amount of content in this game here. This game type that comes with like a big box of map tiles and a scenario book means that all they have to do to release more content is just put out a DLC scenario pack that reorganizes the map tiles. I mean, there's a lot of potential here. Currently in the base game, which is what I have, there's 10 scenarios, but there's a possible 15 more with expansions. Now, replayability in this game comes in other forms than just the scenarios. You can actually feel yourself getting better at this game. I know I personally did. After several scenarios, I was able to see shapes on horde trays and actually postpone attacking them because I knew if I upgraded this tower and waited till they were in position, I would get like the perfect lineup of a tile. And that kind of ability does grow, and I think that's one of the coolest replayability aspects. Heroic challenge, here I come. The other interesting thing about this game is that there's no luck. I mean, zero. Once set up, the scenario kind of automates its way out the same way every time. And this is true for the app as well, and it means that you can continuously attempt a scenario over, making minute changes until you get it just right. Now, I don't think that that's going to be necessary for, the basic difficulties, but for the heroic mode, I wouldn't be surprised if you had to, well-oiled machine it. Now, having mentioned setup, I'm going to say, this game is not the easiest to unpack and pack up. Sure, the earlier scenarios don't take long to set up one after the other. I mean, I definitely could have scenario 1 set up for my friends. Come over, we play it, then I set up 2 while we're talking. It's not the worst. But when you get to the later scenarios, oh my god, I mean, just look at this thing. This would take a while to set up, and heaven forbid if you're trying to have some, conversation while doing it. Do your friends a favor and have this puppy set up before they come over. And packing it up can be a bit of a pain. I mean, like many games with small pieces, how you pack it up is directly related to how easy it is to unpack. My last remark about this game is going to be about the ideal player number. Now, personally, I actually like playing this game solo. During COVID, it has been a pleasant surprise, and I wasn't excited for this game for a solo experience, nor was I expecting to play it solo, and yet here I am kind of, my friends are like, hey, we should play Kingdom Rush, and I'm like, yeah, all right, maybe. But it's a great solo experience. I don't think that this game is being marketed as a solo game, but honestly, it's one of the best I've played. And solo comes in two forms. You can play the game as two players, just controlling both, or you can actually play the solo mode, which introduces this very interesting, you can't put certain towers here every turn, and you have like a bench of heroes you kind of like tag team in and they come and help you. So there's kind of two different ways you can play it there. Now with the strength of solo mode being made clear, the higher player counts get a little sketchy. This won't come super as a surprise if you've played many cooperative games, but if there are varying skill levels present at the table, some players may get quite frustrated, either from letting the team down because you're not, you don't want to give them every answer, or constantly being told what to do. I often found that there are long periods of silence and then an explosion of activity as, kind of the pieces all fit together. But again, there's that moment where you just have to stop and look. For a game this size and with so much stuff, I'm actually surprised that it's low cost. I think it's like $49 or $59, which is relatively cheap. I don't own a game like this on my shelf, and in that regard, it's kind of a no-brainer because, you don't know until you try this kind of game. But I think for what it is, it's very well done, and I like that it's cooperative, not competitive like Cloudspire, though there's nothing wrong with that game either. So I recommend Kingdom Rush. I think it's a really cool type of game, and it plays great solo. Again, what a pleasant surprise. So let me know what you guys think of Kingdom Rush. I have oodles of gameplay of this game, so go ahead and check it out on the channel. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you next time. Cheers. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please consider supporting the channel by liking this video or subscribing to the channel, and especially hitting that bell icon. Feel free to leave comments in the comments section below. I love talking with you guys. Until next video, I'll see you then. Thanks.